Hello, welcome to Endangering the Grave. I'm your host, Robyn Cunningham, and today I have a special message prepared for you. It is going to be kind of like a little comedy thing mixed with a message, kind of Jesse Duplantis style. So I think it's going to be funny. Let's go ahead and roll the intro, and then we'll do the rigmarole and get into it when a couple people have had some time to sign on, shall we? Dun, 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 dun. If people weren't offended by death metal, I am actually. I don't. I used to love death metal before I was a Christian, and then I just it just stopped. Like it just started not sounding like music to me, so I stopped listening. Something changed in me. So I have like a little comedy routine for you guys today. Basically, it'll probably be about 5 or 10 minutes now. Like and subscribe, share with your friends and everything so you can get the word out, and also so they'll promote my video, because some of you might unsubscribe. Just so you're aware, as far as Christian perspective goes, this might be considered some crude humor, but it's not. In my eyes, it's not crude, but I do know, having lived in the South and being married with my wife, that poop jokes can somewhat be a little offensive to people, all right, especially Christians. And this is actually more about Metformin, but some stuff made its way in there. So I'm going to go ahead and put the old banner here. If you want to partner with us, you can do so. FiresideGrace.com/partner with us. Brandy's Venmo is Brandy-Cloninger. PayPal is at Fireside Grace, which I'm not sure if it's one word or two, but you'll be able to find us. Or you can send mail to Fireside Grace at P.O. Box 1285, Judsonia, Arkansas 72001. And, yeah, so there's that. Now, go tell your friends. You're going to want to tell your friends about this. You might die laughing. I might die laughing. I don't know. I might interrupt myself laughing at some of this stuff. But I'm actually nervous because I've always thought to myself, I could be a comedian. But I've never had the audacity to actually kind of make jokes, or like a series of jokes or whatever. So you might want to watch this. You might find it funny. Okay, so let's just jump into it. All right, so the whole premise of this joke started this morning. All right, I was incapacitated by Metformin, and if you've ever taken Metformin, you probably know what I mean, and if you don't, you're gonna find out pretty soon. And while I was sitting there really contemplating my life and what led me to this place of desperation, where I am at the mercy of Metformin and its side effects, right? And I thought to myself, like, why does Metformin give you like uncontrollable diarrhea? Like, what is the purpose of this, right? The thought that entered my head was actually, why is Metformin so angry all the time and just giving people crap all the time? So I made a little meme of a bottle of Metformin, 1,000 milligrams, which you know is the strongest dose that you can get, and as far as I know. And it walks up to this person and goes, "Hey, you going to church today?" And the person replies and goes, "Well, I plan to." And then Metformin interrupts, because Metformin just interrupts your whole day. It's the way it is. You be in the middle of something, the next thing you know, I need to go to the bathroom right now. There's no two ways around it, right? And so Metformin goes, "I have a gift for you." And the person's like they're scared. And they said, "Well, is your gift uncontrollable diarrhea?" And Metformin gets really angry and goes, "You're welcome." And the person's tummy starts to burgle, and I put in there that it was burgling. And then it goes, oh. She goes, "I hate you so much." And so that's the train of thought that goes through my head while I'm at the porcelain throne, in at least praying to God, you know? But what doesn't make sense to me about Metformin is I feel like Metformin is actually giving you food poisoning, and that's why you get the explosive diarrhea. Because look at this. If you open Metformin to smell it, or to take it, listen, you don't simply take Metformin without gagging, okay? It smells like rotten, dead, aged fish, and it makes you crap your pants in random places. You know, I take fish oil, for the omega-3 or whatever, to, help keep my cholesterol where it needs to be. I try and live healthy. And my fish oil pills don't smell as bad as Metformin. So for strike one, Metformin, that seems a little bit suspicious, right? But listen, if you have any kind of control issues in your life or any kind of fear of man, Metformin will go ahead and take all of those issues away for you. Don't worry about it. You will not ever fear man again. You will fear, it might cause you to fear going out in public. Maybe it might cause a little bit of agoraphobia, but you'll get, if after a while, if you still have to go out and do life, and Metformin says, oh, we're going to do life together. We're going to do life together, okay? You take Metformin, you go for a walk in the mall. And word of advice, you better make an exit plan for every single bathroom in that mall. So we're not worried about fires. We're not worried about the mall burning down or about mass shootings or anything like that. What you need to worry about with Metformin is where's the bathroom and how long is it going to take you to get there? Because you're going to be doing the arch-backed, legs out, tippy-toe, running with your hand on your backside, holding your pants up to make it to the bathroom, okay? That's what Metformin does to you, and it's never pleasant. It's always in the most inconvenient time. You can't really control it, and you're going to get everything that you ask for with Metformin. They're like, is there a side effect? Metformin's like, oh, yeah, I'm all of them. Oh, okay, which one's the most common? All of them. Metformin, I need to know what's the worst side effect. All of them. I will give you all of them. That's what Metformin says, right? So you're going to have no control on Metformin. You're not going to be able to protect yourself. Once that urge hits, it's, for lack of a better word, it's slide time. And that sounds disgusting, but that's what it is. And you know what I'm talking about if you've been on Metformin. It's like losing your footing at the edge of a cliff by the ocean, right? And you have no control. There's nothing for you to grab onto. You may flail around frantically trying to regain control and grab onto something, but inevitably you know that you're going to get wet. There's no stopping it. You are out of control. And, you know, when it comes to Metformin, like, I've heard of irritable bowel syndrome. That's something that, like, went through my family for a while. I got healed from that, actually. But Metformin has gone beyond irritable bowel syndrome. Metformin is the physical encapsulation of irritable bowel syndrome, but it's actually irate and vindictive bowel syndrome. That's what Metformin is. Irate and vindictive bowel syndrome. It's sitting there plotting how it can take its revenge on you. Like, hey, remember that time that you held that poop in for a long time and you were so proud of yourself? No more! And it just starts punching, man. It's like Metformin will have you looking like Rocky at the end of the fight with Apollo in Rocky 1. All bruised and bloodied, man. You don't know what you're getting into with this stuff, right? So it makes perfect sense to me, okay? It makes perfect sense to me that it's irate and vindictive bowel syndrome, because all you hear before the worst day of your life is your stomach starting to yell at you, and it's like, hey, we are gonna poop. And you're like, oh, well, how long do I have? Ah! And your stomach goes, right now! And you feel the pucker. That's all I have to say. You feel the little pucker of the loss of self-control. And next thing you know, you're blacked out. You're laying in a pool of blood streaming from your backside and running down your legs and out the toes of your shoes for whatever reason, right? And all of a sudden you realize you're colorblind and what you see as red is actually brown. So you do the math of what just happened, right? So at this point, you just stop asking questions. You don't ask questions anymore. You walk back to your car and turn it off and close the door because you didn't have time to close your door and turn your car off. The fact that you even managed to get it in park, you know there had to be some sort of angelic intervention, okay? Because if you didn't have angelic intervention, that car's just going to crash into your house, and you don't care because this is a life or death emergency. This is a crisis situation in your hands, right? And then you don't ask questions. Just go shut your car off, shut your door. You start talking to the mailman. You know what's going on. You feel it. You can smell it. You can see it. And then you ponder in your mind if you've actually reached that stage of life where you need adult diapers, and the answer is always, depends. Depends. You know, you get it? It's an adult diaper. So Metformin is kind of like the guys from Pawn Stars is how I see Metformin. You're like, you go in there and you want to make a great deal and everything, and Metformin's like, oh, the best I can offer you is, and it doesn't matter what you want. Nothing matters. It doesn't matter at all. Because Metformin doesn't give a crap. But I can't really say Metformin doesn't give a crap because that's really basically all it does give is craps. Okay? And this is where things get real. This is where even the atheist finds God when they start taking metformin. Because once metformin delivers on its promises of a very crappy day, a very crappy situation, you, no matter what your belief is in God, will be begging and pleading with God for help. Like, oh, no, 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 please, God, please, 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 Jesus, 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 Jesus. I'm talking to you, Jesus, please help me. And you're thinking like that. All of a sudden, a little 5-gallon bucket you got for mixing concrete, you're like, this is going in the trash. I tell you this day, choose you life or choose you death. And that bucket's like, I did not sign up for this, man. I did not sign up for this. You start speaking in tongues. You're sweating. You're like, whoo, whoo, whoo. Lord, get this devil out of me. You start singing. You don't know what you're going to do, man. It's just crazy, right? And you start speaking in tongues. You're like, no, 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 boo, 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 ba, 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 shoot, shoot, shh, na, 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 shoot about a Honda. And it usually doesn't end good, you know. Some people have a really good time with it because some people have a good, good experience, none of the side effects, but that's not always the case. And, well, let's face it, metformin is warfare. And there's no atheist in a foxhole. And make no mistake, metformin doesn't take prisoners, okay? And so I found the best way from having such an intolerable life with metformin is actually eating a healthy diet that's high in protein and low in carbs. And that means I eat a lot of vegetables and meat. And the number one veggie that I eat is cauliflower. I love cauliflower and everything that resembles anything, and I use this term loosely, that resembles anything, something that tastes good in the diabetic world is made with almonds or cauliflower, okay? Cauliflower will help metformin facilitate its duty. No pun intended. All right. Now, cauliflower tastes like someone ate 1 dozen hard-boiled eggs and then ate an extra one just for good measure, waited an hour or two, took some dirt and put it in a pot and then farted in it, all right? Sealed it off, capped it, let it fester, let the soil really get encapsulated with the fart, and then tended to that fart ever so lovingly for about 2 months until it grew into a fart flower. And then on the hottest, ripest day of the year, they harvested it, boiled it for 13 hours, and then tried to fool people into thinking that it tastes just like mashed potatoes, or worse, chicken wings. It doesn't. Now, I've wanted to go vegetarian for a long time, because I just don't like the idea of killing animals and eating them, because I was going down the road with Brandy, and I've seen this a couple times where they have all these chickens that are going to the slaughterhouse, and they shove all these chickens in this tiny little crate where the chickens can't stand up. There's chickens in the middle. A lot of them suffocate by the time they get to the place. They're crapping all over each other. It's just a mess, and it makes me feel horrible seeing that. But I still eat chicken, but I feel guilty about it sometimes, right? So I've tried this newer thing that they're trying to push out there called cauliflower wings, right? This is the most offensive thing in the world that I can think of, because it doesn't taste anything like chicken wings. It's very tragic, especially if you're like, oh man, I'm going to get some chicken wings, and you got a big honking chunk of fart in your mouth. That is not a good time. I do not want that, all right? It's nothing like it. It's mushy. The texture's weird. It's truly disgusting. So if I'm out somewhere at like a church function or something and someone has made fart flowers and covered them in hot sauce, which is the dynamic duo of the restroom, by the way, anything with hot sauce and cauliflower, I'm liable to lay hands on everybody that's involved with putting on this function, okay? And I don't mean that I pray. I mean someone's catching hands. But I digress. I don't like fart flour. But, praise the Lord, so many people... metformin is responsible for so many people finding Jesus on their way to the porcelain throne because of metformin's intervention. So metformin, though it does have some actual stark consequences, is also responsible for saving lives in a weird way. Is metformin Jesus? No. But it sure feels like it's of the devil, but it does help people, right? But sometimes we all can act like hell and still have a greater purpose and help people. And our role is to save people from hell and send them to the throne of God instead of sending them to the porcelain throne. You know that verse, Romans 1:20, says that all things were created to point to the glory of God so that no one is without excuse in that day. And in that day means on the day of judgment. So everything is designed to point us to the throne of God. And isn't it weird how Metformin can actually point you to the throne of God with a disgusting series of jokes and some of those life stories that I told you are actual instances. My friend was on Metformin, and he's telling me about he went to a sushi restaurant, right? He's on Metformin. His A1C was ridiculous, so he's been trying to eat good. He spent a month. He got his A1C down from like 14 or 15. It was really high. His sugar was almost 1,000. It was like 800, 900 when he got sugar taken. When he got his A1C glucose taken, hemoglobin taken, right? And he decided after a month they got it down to like 7.0 or 6 point something, which is not bad. That's what some of our relatives that have been on it and watched their diets have been for a long time. And he goes and gets sushi, so he's eating rice and raw fish. He comes back home. It's about a half an hour drive home, and he goes past his house to the store when all of a sudden he slams on the brakes. No explanation to his wife. Slams on the brakes, turns around, does a U-turn in the middle of the road, cutting off people in traffic, flies up to his house, jumps out of the car and yells at his wife, "Put it in park!" and takes off, doesn't close the door, doesn't turn the engine off, nothing. And leaves her there frantically trying to put the car in. He gets almost to the door, and the door is not unlocked, and they usually leave their door unlocked. And he goes to grab the door handle doesn't wiggle, and as he reaches in his pocket and pulls out the keys, he said it was a mess. There was no survivors. He had to go to the bathroom, burn his clothes, take a shower. He comes out an hour later. She's still in the car waiting, because they still have to go grocery shopping. He goes, "Get out of the car. We're not going anywhere." She's like, "What happened?" And a little tear wells up in the corner of his eye. And he goes, "I don't even want to talk about it right now." So, anyway, getting back on track. You know, Mark 16:15 says, "And he said to them, our role is to save people from hell and send them to the throne of God so that they don't receive judgment, but they receive that well done, good and faithful servant." Mark 16:15, he says to them, "Go into all the world and preach the gospel to all creation." And so the purpose of this whole story, this whole joke, you know, is sometimes life gets messy. Sometimes it's your own mess that you've created that needs to be cleaned up. But Hebrews 4:14 through 16 says, "Seeing then that we have a great high priest who has passed through the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God, let us hold fast our confession. For we do not have a high priest who cannot sympathize with our weaknesses, but was in all points tempted as we are, yet without sin. Let us therefore come boldly to the throne of grace that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in a time of need." And what are you doing? Like when you're running, when you're going down, okay, this is a real story, okay? We were going down, we lived in one of the highest peaks of the Unicoi Mountains in Tennessee. We're coming down that mountain and this urge hits. And we were literally praying, "Jesus, help, help, Jesus, 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 help," right? Begging that we would make it to the toilet. And thankfully, God gave, I say us, you can assume it was me. Thankfully, God gave me the yes answer in this situation, and I made it to the bathroom. And you know, when you're going down a mountain, there's typically not gas stations along the way where you can just pull over. And you seriously start to question decisions in your life, like, should I have gone? Should I have listened to my parents? Should I have gone when I was supposed to go? Should I stop at this gas station? Or is there a chance that a car will stop if I pull over on the side of the road and hang my rear end out the window? But you don't, because you're a civilized human being, and even though it's more embarrassing to crap your pants, you can get a ticket for doing anything else, right? So, when your life is a mess, go to the throne so that you can find grace in your time of need. And remember that this verse is a universal verse. God can help anyone that will humble themselves and ask him for help. Whosoever is whosoever, right? So you might have messed up something in your life and just make a real awful, terrible mess, but don't think that this disqualifies you from preaching the gospel. Don't think that you need to even be cleaned up before God can use you. None of us are worthy of God's forgiveness. None of us deserve to have God clean up the mess that we've made of our own lives. None of us are perfect. We all have major issues and we all have minor issues. No matter how minor you think your issue is, it's still a major issue in the spirit realm. We all have our own mess that we have to deal with, but God has grace to get you out of that place. And while you're still in your own mess, get you free from that. Now, if you're always waiting until you feel good enough before you choose to serve God, then you're going to miss it. You're going to miss the lives that could have possibly been saved from an eternity of conscious torment. You're going to feel so unloved in your own self that you separate someone else from the love of God because you feel unloved. Our call, it doesn't matter how desperate the situation is, we have to remember that we have a kingdom calling. We have a purpose to serve. Don't be like Metformin that's always giving people crap. Angry, irate, making more messes than you're fixing. You know? Get it together. And in the midst of the storm, praise God. It's like that song says, in the eye of the storm, you remain in control. In the middle of the war, you guard my soul. You alone are the anchor when my sails are torn. Your love surrounds me in the eye of the storm. Let his love encompass you. Hey, but think about this. The disciples in the boat, I learned this from our pastor at Thrive in Sushi. Go there. The pastor pointed this one thing out. The disciples weren't in the midst of the storm because they did anything wrong when they were on the boat and Jesus was asleep. They were in the midst of the storm just because they followed Jesus where he said to go. So don't think, oh, well, this is going on, that's going on, that disqualifies me. It doesn't disqualify you. You didn't have to do anything wrong. The storm came because you followed Jesus. But don't be like the disciples where they turned to Jesus and made Jesus put the storm out when he said to them that them doing that was of little faith. You turn to that storm and you speak to that storm. You declare what will happen. I've had to do that many times when Metformin tries to literally kick my butt. Where I say, stomach, you are not in control here. I am. Stop it now. And sometimes my stomach goes, I will kick you so hard that you will not know what's happening. And then I have to yell and I look like a fool because I'm going, stomach, 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 stomach. Get it under control. Get it under control. It's like in that movie Spaceballs from the 80s. I watched it when I was a kid in, I think, 1989. But he's like, abandon ship. Abandon ship. You know, that's what it's like, right? So stop giving everybody crap because you're angry or you're irate and you're just making a mess for everybody. And get in there. Get in the fight. Command the storm. Tell it what it's going to do and make disciples. Don't let your situation stop you from saving somebody's life. Because that's what Metformin does, right? Metformin is designed to help save people's lives, to help get their sugar under control. Because if your sugar is out of control and you don't take care of your diabetes, it causes heart failure, kidney failure, all kinds of issues. Can cause you to have a stroke, increases your cholesterol, directly related to low testosterone. If you have high blood sugar, a lot of times men will have low testosterone. Did you know that? All kinds of things. But its purpose is to help you get things under control, even though it seems like it can be a mess. It can be a real pain. But get it under control. So instead of going out and being worried about all of the things that you could go wrong and the messes that could be made, your mess, this mess, that mess, and all of the things that could possibly be a hazard, go out there and worry about making disciples. Go out there and worry about loving people and being the body of Christ to the whole world. So get out there, do what Jesus said, make ye disciples of the nations. Get out there and be relief for those that are running to the throne, that are crying out for mercy and grace and are seeking the throne of Jehovah. Let's get out there and be the church. In the middle of the storm, you can have peace like Jesus. In the middle of the storm, you still have the authority that Jesus bought for us. Grace does not remove sins. It says that grace, or love, covers a multitude of sins. It covers. If sin is only covered, then it's not removed. It's still there. Grace doesn't give you permission to remain in sin. It gives you time to get free from it. And all these people around us that are still alive, that don't know Jesus, are covered in that grace right now. Because if God removes his grace and they go to hell and they die in that sin, then, and we did nothing about it, it's kind of a mess, right? Okay, so this was just a funny, little example, little attempt at trying my hand at comedy. And I just thought that I would share that with you in Jesse Duplantis manner, because he tells stories like that. And just let the word sink in and let it drive home. So I love you guys. Be blessed. I look forward to seeing you soon. Happy Sukkot. I'll see you tomorrow for our dream sessions for the reality of dreams. And until next time, guys, love y'all. Be blessed. And I will see you again very soon. Bye.